The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. It would help if I turned my camera on, wouldn't it? God damn. This is our 51st show. You think I'd learn this shit by now. It's 11:02 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, 8:02 p.m. on the West Coast, 2 minutes after 2 p.m. in the afternoon at the Sydney Opera House in Sydney, Australia. And here in Ilhan Omar's district in the heart of Northeast Minneapolis, it's 10:02 p.m. And welcome, I'm Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters Tonight. This is our 51st show. We did our 50th show last night. I want to thank Michael Harrison from Talkers Magazine for coming on. We had a great interview, great discussion. This guy's, like I said during the interview, he's basically like the Forrest Gump of podcasting. He's done everything. Now, also, I promised during that interview, he's a member of the band Gun Hill Road, and that I was going to play one of their videos at the end of last night's show. I forgot to cue it up. I have it queued up tonight. So we're at the very end of the program, we're going to play it. The song's called Idiots. And like he said during the interview, they get played on a lot of talk radio stations, not necessarily music, because most of their songs now revolve around political issues. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So Idiots is about what you pretty much think it is. So tonight, Jeff Meyer, CEO and publisher of Calling News. We're gonna put him on in just a second because I'm old and tired and I need some help. And next Wednesday, as I've been promoting all week, we're doing our JFK special. It's the 60th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the day before Thanksgiving. We are, of course, taking Thanksgiving off. And I was planning on putting together a panel discussion for this, and now I've decided not to. I might have one guest on. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still working on it. But if nothing else, I'm gonna do what I did on one of our podcasts or radio shows about a year or two ago for the same anniversary, where I spent about 45 minutes in great detail explaining my theory on exactly what happened in Dealey Plaza. And believe it or not, Lee Harvey Oswald was not the only shooter. No shit. So that's next Wednesday. Now, we're going to leave the call-in thing up the entire time. If you want to call in and talk to Jeff, or you have questions for him or me while we do this, it's gemini.com/call. Now, that's not the instructions. You actually have to go to that webpage to actually call in, because it's done with your video. It's done with your camera on your device. You can use an iPhone if you want. We have plenty of people who called in already. That works just fine. So the thing is, you go to that webpage, there's a giant blue button at the top of the screen. You press that, you click on that, and you're in our preview page, and you're in the queue. There you go. Now, the thing is, here's the deal. There's instructions on that page. If you need them, you have to use the Google Chrome web browser, unless you're on an iPhone or an iPad, or that would be an iOS device. Then you use the Safari browser that's built into those devices, because most people don't know this. You can download Google Chrome for your Mac, but if you download any other web browser for your iPhone, it's basically just a customized version of Safari. Apple does not let you install another web browser on your iPhone. Yeah, I mean, its appearance has changed. They've customized it, but it's still basically a Safari browser, basically. So with that, here we go. He's there. He's here.
I'm awake.
From the second story of a 6-car garage in Prior Lake, Minnesota.
That's right. Home of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. They're winners, man.
That's right. All they do is win.
Honestly, I with this Dobbs guy, they're actually kind of playing like exciting football.
For sure.
I
For
don't know. My
sure.
complaint with Cousins is that he can maybe win and he's really good, but he's fucking boring to watch. I don't know.
Like putting you or me out there,
Well, yeah, I
right?
keep telling everybody
Couple of plotters.
if they want to save a bunch of money, they could pay me 100 grand and I would drop every pass anybody threw me. It's like so, but I'm way cheaper.
I apologize for the cough in the beginning. I have had this kung flu for 4 weeks, and they're trying to kill me. But
That's okay. That's right. I have the same problem. I have allergies with all the warm weather. I mean, we should point out here in Minneapolis, it was like 65 degrees today, which is really unusual for December. And it's supposed to happen tomorrow too.
southern border pushing all that air up here.
Yeah, right. That's right. All right. So now you gave me a list of stuff you want to talk about today. I got some stuff. Where do you want to start? You want to talk about Nikki Haley?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the pride and joy of Bamberg's own. Where's it? Bamberg, South Carolina.
Uh-huh.
She really stepped in it yesterday, talking about the things she would do on social media. You know, and now she's reworking this phrase that she says. Now she wants everyone's name. She wants to make sure that you're legit. She started with the Chinese, the Russians, and the Iranians to get their bots off of our social media. Um,
So
and so now,
is this the thing where she said she doesn't want anybody anonymous online?
correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
She wants your name there. So what you say, you have to, it's tagged to you. So your preacher knows, your neighbor knows. I mean, she has shit her bed so bad. I've got my original list from the original debate. Her name will be scratched off very shortly because she's going to have a tough time recovering from this. I mean, she is a globalist. We know that, and she is a warmonger. Two things, basically, the American people are tired of.
Yeah. So it's funny you should mention this, Jeff, because this is one of the things that was on my list to talk to you about, and that is I am really kind of tired of the fact that ev- I'm surprised that we have a whole slew of generational young people who think social media is real life, and this bugs the shit out of me. Look at all these people on these college campuses they don't even know what they're protesting, most of them.
Right. Well, and again, the problem with youth is it can be dangerous, and you may not make adulthood. You might not get to old age because of just being naive as a youth. And yeah, I mean, right, they're confused. And again, the system wants them that way because that's how the system has set them up to be raised.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so, as a system looks out to the future, they want you to think that that government tracking device you're carrying around where you get your answers is giving you the truth and reality, even though what's happening in front of you is totally different than what's happening on your government tracking device. They don't have the maturity and life experience to say, that's not right. My gut tells me that's not right. My experience tells me I'm being lied to. So they're just this sponge of this garbage. And when they figure it out, they're going to be pissed off.
That's right. They are. That's absolutely correct. And of course, only half of them will figure it out, but still, the half that figures
but the half that does that generation will get right in the ones that don't right in their face.
That's
I mean,
true.
that's how they were. They're latchkey kids. They've been raised a bunch around just groups of kids. And the interesting thing to me, Jim, is the other side of that. The elderly that have wealth have no clue of what's coming. I was in a client's office earlier this week on Monday. And I heard an interaction between a customer service person and this elderly woman who needed some custom work done. And basically the customer service person just got to the down to the brass tacks. What do you think it's worth? Right? What do
Yeah.
you think solving this problem that you couldn't find anyone else to do is worth? She goes, well, I'm unsure. The gal says, well, our normal fee for the person I'm back to work on this is $75. She goes, oh, I wasn't expecting that much. Now, again, this person has money. It wasn't, and it's just interesting. So the young kids are going to be naive. They're not going to hold their money because they're the only ones in society, in American society, that have money, and the government's going to want it.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
And so that's going to be an interesting when those lines cross, and they come for the old people's money, and the
Well,
youth are saying this is bullshit. We haven't had that in our society, and we're young. We're 247 years old. We're
that's right.
babies.
That's
We're
right.
not even crawling yet as far
Yeah.
as societies are
So Jeff,
tracked.
I went to last weekend. I ended up taking the Thursday night show off because I went to a funeral in my hometown.
Okay.
One of the guys I grew up next door to passed away. Now, he was 10 years older than me, so he's in his late 70s. And that was, of course, if you do your math, that's basically the height of the summer of love. And he was, frankly, an old hippie, right? I mean, that's what he was. But he blew his hand off, literally blew his hand off preparing a bomb for some protest or something like that. And so I'm at this memorial service. There's 40 or 50 people there. And first of all, this is the first observation. They're all old hippies. They're all about the same age. They're in their late 70s. And then I realized while I was looking around at everybody, I either know a few of these people personally, or I know of most of them. I kind of knew their background. This is like, he graduated from my same high school I did 10 years before I did. So it's not like I'm, know these people intimately. But I realized looking at them that every single one of these people was from an either wealthy or highly affluent family, all of them. And then I started thinking about the stuff that's going on in college campuses with all these pro-Hamas protests. All these kids are at the very least middle class, if not, affluent or wealthy, from wealthy
Right.
families, and so it's like we're just awash on money. And I think your point, or if I can restate what you're trying to say, is just because you have money doesn't mean you have brains.
Right. It generally means you don't have brains because you
Yeah.
don't understand how it works, especially
Yeah.
young people,
Uh-huh.
right? Older people that have had to accumulate it through work or somehow, even inheritance means you got to figure out how to keep more than spend,
Yeah.
where the
You know,
young kids just don't get it.
my accountants, I think we've talked about this in the past too. My accountants explained to me she deals with a lot of like successful family businesses, for lack of a better term. So she's always said it this way. She's explained it this way: one brilliant guy, and in the past it was almost always a guy. Maybe not now, but in the past it was. Starts some business, works like fucking hell, and makes a lot of money. Is really successful. His kids, they see how hard dad worked, and they inherit the business, and so they put in their time. They do a pretty good job keeping it up, but she said that their kids, the third generation, all they've ever seen is a mountain of money, and they don't know shit, and they end up
Right.
screwing it up. And they will usually, a lot of times, they will fold the business up because they can't run it. I thought that was really an interesting observation.
Right.
But
Yeah. No, I would. Yeah, I agree. It's right. It's that third transition that hopefully they have some understanding of. Um, and we had a president that was naive to that. Barack Obama said, "You didn't build that."
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, well, he's the epitome of one of these guys.
Yes.
I
Yep.
mean, and the really amazing thing is he's the first African American president, and he also might be the single most entitled guy who ever got the office. I mean, seriously,
Right.
I don't know. I don't. He wasn't. His parents, his family wasn't wealthy, but because of he was coddled basically. I
Yeah,
mean,
right. The system pushed him forward
yeah,
and luck fell his way. And then the dollars fell after. I mean, the
right.
guys accumulated a mass wealth without producing anything. You aren't wearing Obama tennis shoes
No,
or
well, just
Obama sunglasses or
to be
Obama
accurate, Jeff,
shirts.
the one thing he did produce is he made most of those money before his presidency from his books. I mean, he sold a shitload of books. He became
Yeah,
a millionaire from selling books. But
right. But maybe he had maybe he had $5-6 million. He's worth 80 to
oh yeah,
$100 million more.
easily,
And
right,
that's not from
easily.
books because no one's reading his
No,
shit.
that's correct, right.
So that next rung up the ladder, he skipped about 10,
Yeah, that's
again,
right.
without producing anything that our economy uses. Well,
Yeah,
and people
I
say,
mean,
well, he
I just
writes,
heard that he's worth at least $100 million now, at
sure.
least.
And there's
Right.
people say, well, he does write scripts and stuff for Netflix. Well, okay,
Yeah.
still,
No, he doesn't.
right, right. Because no one would listen to his shit because he doesn't have any understanding of how it works.
That's right. That's right.
And so, and again, back to Nikki Haley, I, I'm, I was wondering, it was amazing how much um, the conservative media wouldn't take her on,
Like, what do
right?
you mean?
Well, they wouldn't challenge her. Everyone knows she loves war. She's a John McCain in heels,
Yeah.
and you know, Swamy called her that during the debate. And we need to tire of war because that gets no one anywhere. Just these big corporate companies, they're the ones who win. Everyone else comes back without a leg.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Tulsi Gabbard and other people have been talking about like for ages. I mean, she's like, I'm totally with her on this. I mean, these endless wars have to stop because all they do is produce money for a certain small number of people. I mean,
Correct.
that's
Yep. And again, we're um, at some point this thing's going to tip over, and the wrong type of war is going to start,
no shit.
right? And then
Yes.
the cat's out of the bag, and civilization as we know it will revert to the Dark Ages. I
Yes,
mean,
that's correct.
when the Roman Empire fell for 400 years, there wasn't a book around,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
It was the Dark Ages, and it was 400 years, not 4 days without power, 400 years.
And they didn't have nuclear weapons.
Right,
You
right.
know, you put that in the equation, shit, we're screwed.
And they were used to working the land to eat.
Uh-huh.
None of us can do that.
Yeah, I can't farm. I don't know
Not,
shit.
maybe some parts of Africa and some parts of Central America, but not in mass can that happen. And so um, we really need to say no to these endless wars. Again, um, the governments of the world are in such control, and we used to be the shining light on the hill that we thought we had some control. The politicians don't. I mean, again, another continuing resolution to keep the government funded.
Yeah. Goes on and on
Are,
and on.
yeah, are we doing anything for the hundreds of people every day that are having to file for bankruptcy? We don't help them at all,
No, we don't. We don't help
right?
people. We
We
don't.
don't. No one has any. There's no safety net unless you're a new, person into this country walking in.
I had something here I was gonna run by you that's kind of along what you're talking about, but now I can't find it. Holy shit. What's wrong with me? Well, okay, so I'm gonna do this off the top of my head. So there was a resolution in the House, and I think it was Mullen actually put this forward about the fact that this it was part of the Inflation Reduction Act about this thing about kill switches in cars. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
So yeah, so they want to. So the deal is they would put a kill switch in a car. Supposedly, ostensibly, the car would be able to tell through AI if you're drunk driving and would shut the car down. And then, but the question is like, what if it's wrong? And also, what if somebody hacks the system so they just shut your car down anyway? You know. So Mullen,
Yeah, and does it why don't we have it where it drives the car to a safe place and parks it?
yeah, I don't.
You know?
Mullen tried to get this taken out, and oh, what is the name of the woman from um the senator from Gillibrand? She stopped it. She said, she said, well, no, people are drunk driving. It's like this will help drunk drivers. And the real amazing thing is, she compared it to wearing seatbelts, and she said, well, people wear seatbelts for public safety, and I'm thinking, no, they don't. I wear a
Right.
seatbelt to protect me. I don't really give a fuck about public safety.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
if by law I did not have to wear a seatbelt, I would still wear one. But I
Sure.
but I do wonder about the law about making people wear seatbelts. I mean, as a libertarian, that's kind of like, if you want to kill yourself, go right ahead. I don't see why I should
Yeah.
stop you.
Right. And again, uh, think that forward. Okay, someone gets on the freeway, the car shuts down. Now the family behind him piles into him and wipes out the family. The drunk's fine because he's loose and
Right,
flops
right.
around and he's fine, walks away.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had a friend of mine that actually happened to. He said he was stopped at a light on some highway here in town, and somebody plowed into the end of the line at full speed at 60 miles an hour, killed
Yeah.
the person in front of him directly, but 6 cars got completely wrecked, and people end up in the hospital and all sort of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
right.
so well, how does that work? How do you shut a car down without knowing? Wouldn't you rather have it self drive to a safe place?
I don't pretend to know the actual intricacies of the technology here, because I know that AI is supposedly involved. But it's just
So
like,
for sure, it's just going to shut it down. It's going to
yeah,
say drunk, kill the motor.
right, exactly. That's what I'm thinking too, and that's what Mullen was thinking too. What the
Yeah.
fuck? That's bullshit, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And
How
then,
about we try it on some government issued vehicles first, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like they should have done with Obamacare. If you think it's so great, push it through to everyone that's a unionized member of the government. If they like it, roll it out, let the public
it's a
sector.
joke.
Yeah,
I,
let's
it's a
try it on the
complete joke.
public sector, and then the private sector can take it on if it makes sense. But no, they try it on the private sector, who are the producers. So they always have it ass backwards. That
Yeah,
is a bad idea.
yeah. I was talking last night about, you're talking about the producer class. I was talking about the non-producer class. Like, um, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, have jobs where they're basically just pushing papers. And if you're, working in a corporation, I kind of feel for those people. That's not really particularly satisfying, but somebody's got to do that work. Maybe not in the future. Maybe we have AI do it. But the thing is, if you're working for the government, that's basically what the government is. The government doesn't produce anything.
Right, right. And they're using computers from what, the 80s? So it's still on paper.
Yeah.
That's why this whole everyone's got to register their gun. What? So someone in the back room can say, "Hey, look up number 43222," and they're going through index cards. It's not on a database. We know that. Or they would
Except,
find the shooters like the guy that just got shot up the bowling alley. It would have been a big if this guy wants to buy a BB gun, he can't buy one.
yeah, right. That was a very unusual situation because he kind of fell through the cracks because he was a military guy, you know? I mean, I don't know if you know that. I mean, he
Yeah,
was,
right.
um
But that's still not a crack that should be there.
no, that's true. That's
I
right.
mean, if there's a computer system that can do this, we know it. Um, they don't have it. They aren't even appropriating for it.
Oh, and shit, the government has computer systems that are 40 years old. We all
Yeah,
know
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why the IRS, and if you do something in what from January 15th to February 15th, they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs as they reboot those things.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. I mean, my accountant says straight out, she says that IRS agents are failed accountants. They're people
Yeah,
that could not pass the CPA exam. That's what they wanted. That was their goal in life. So now they're working for the IRS, you
right,
know?
right.
Right. So God, they're really great. They're smart.
The
But
other thing on November 7th, I was listening to Glenn Beck, and he was talking about the Biden administration was planning to hand over the control of all the internet services because they wanted this digital equity.
yeah,
And,
I know.
well, I love Glenn because he's not worried about UFOs like you. He's worried about other conspiracies.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I'm familiar with this, and this is fucking frightening.
So this happened today. The FCC approved the plan to give the government control of the internet. It's called the first bipartisan broadband access anti-discrimination law.
Oh, bull! It's just this is going to be the death of fucking everything.
It could be the death of your show.
Oh yeah, I know that.
I mean
I know.
that's the thing. People don't understand. It will be AI monitoring this stuff
Oh, it could be
and
fucking
flagging
real
it.
people monitoring it. I mean, if the government all of a sudden the government doesn't like something, they're going to say, "Well, you got to get rid of this because it's not equitable
Correct.
or something."
So
I'm not equitable.
I pulled up an article that was on Conk. So if you go to conk.com, you're going to find the best conservative news aggregation stories every day. We have a great news source there called 100% Fed Up. They are on it. They are just on it as far as what is going on. And in this article, it says under the bipartisan infrastructure law, the FCC is required to adopt rules to ensure that all Americans have equal access to reliable, high speed broadband services without discrimination based on characteristics listed in the statute. Which is, you read that, it's like, great. They're going to have broadband, which we should be able to do. We got a man to the moon, supposedly,
Yeah,
right?
without a computer too.
Right.
Yeah,
They should be able to get everyone connected to high speed internet. The problem is the rules inside of that then say if someone feels like they're being discriminated because of this high speed internet, there'll be a panel that reviews basically like red flag laws.
yeah. It's not just even what's on it. It's like what's going through it. Like you said, like even this show,
Yes,
anything,
right.
a website, anything.
Anything.
If they decide it's discriminatory, they'll kill it.
And it'll be a government appointed board.
And has
And
anyone?
not a board of your peers, a board of government, the same paper pushers that don't do anything.
Yeah,
Um, it's super scary. And Beck was right. He said it's going to be the demise of what people think is free speech here, which we don't have.
yeah. Well, I still remember John Dvorak, the famous tech columnist. I don't even know if he's still alive. He said like 30 years ago. He said at some point you will need a license to put up a website, and he's right. You'll have to get a fucking license from the government, and it's never did it ever occur to anybody? And you're a freaking you're a freak enterprise capitalist that the whole people talking about like the internet was a wild west, but it worked fabulously. It's been working. It's basically for all practical purposes, it's not regulated, not until today.
Correct.
And up to it's worked fabulously with no regulation at all. So of course the government has to step in and say, no, we got to tell you what to do.
Right. And so let's just look at what will they adopt? What do they have to look at to say, how do we oversee this thing? And to me, reading through these articles, I look at it as they're going to do it like building permits. Show us your plans. We'll make sure you got the right plumbing and the right electrical, and we'll have an inspector come and look. And yep, oh, it looks great, but you just got to twist this one. You got to get rid of this one word before we can give you an occupancy.
Yeah.
Certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Right. And then you're going to say, oh, you know what? We're not selling conch hats. We're selling Jim Peters at night hats. We want to put them on our website. And they'll say, good, fill out this form. submit it, show us what you're going to do. And when we give you the approval, you can do the change. 6 months later, conch hats aren't worth shit. Jim Peters hats aren't worth shit. And you're going, I'm going out of business. And they'll
Yeah.
say,
Too
well,
bad. That's what
right.
they'll say.
Just like a
That's
building permit. Too bad.
right.
There was a fraud we didn't know.
Yeah. They'll say it's really unfortunate that you're going out of business. Fuck you.
Right. And so there's all these rules already out there that they don't create anything. They just repeat the same bullshit. So they're going to grab onto some kind of licensing thing like that to control and to slow down. I mean, you can put a website up basically in a few hours.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can have
Right.
a business set up and a website up
Right.
quicker than you can probably get your tabs renewed nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Yeah. You can even put up like a shopping cart on your website in like 4 hours.
Right.
I mean,
right. And that was all. And what really regulated the internet was free enterprise.
Yeah.
If your website sucked or your product sucked, you had no revenue.
That's right. Absolutely
so it
correct.
policed itself.
Right. And it's over.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's
This
awful.
is what a government creep does.
Yeah.
They're sitting there thinking, what should we do next to help these people?
Right. It's like the whole old Reagan thing. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Of course you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Eric
Yeah.
Adams. What? I don't like Eric Adams because he's to me, he's one of these phonies that crawled up through the ranks and has some power, has some notoriety, becomes mayor of New York. But now they're after him for some text he was sending to get the Turkish consulate open next to the UN. Well, it was going to be opened anyways. It wasn't like he approved the drawings. So what did he do that the Biden administration doesn't like? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I do. He told the Biden administration he doesn't want them to send migrants to New York City anymore. And that made him persona non grata. And then the Democratic machine kicks in, and they find some way to punish everybody.
Yeah, we should call that the Al Franken rule.
Yeah.
We need a scapegoat. It's the Al Franken rule.
That's
so
right.
Eric Adams got Frankened.
Yeah, he did. That's exactly what happened. He got Frankened. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that happened to someone else just recently who am I thinking of? Oh God, my brain's
the one that I was thinking of is that Senator Menendez.
Yeah. Supposedly, I didn't know this, but supposedly he got on Biden's wrong side for something.
Yeah, he is not a Biden guy.
Right.
But that was one of these, he's going to be out of the Senate in no time. He's a fighter, and now you don't hear anything about it. So they must have really pulled out their cards and said, what do we got against this guy?
Yeah. Well, now, I mean, the thing with Trump, matter of fact, this was on my list today, Jeffrey, about the fact that Fani Willis, the Attorney General of Georgia, she says that she's pretty certain Trump's going to be on the in court on election day, and this is so unbelievably egregious. It's unbelievable. I mean, first of all, they waited 3 years to file this,
Right.
I mean, that's a real thing. People say, well, the law is the law. They waited 3 years to file this because they waited for the opportune time,
Yeah, they took a calendar out and said, when would be the best time to fuck with this?
That's right. Exactly. And it's just ridiculous, unbelievably unfair. And the one thing that I was going to bring up to you with you, I'm curious your opinion on this. Supposedly the polls, first of all, right now, I mean, I don't have to tell you, Trump's way ahead in all the polls. He's beating the crap out of Biden. But supposedly people said if he was convicted of a crime, that he would drop 12 points and Biden could possibly win. I mean, do you think that's true?
I think, I think the pain people are have turned against Biden because of the financial pain, and there's just no hope. I mean, we are truly living in the Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day.
Yeah,
right.
We are.
You're waking up, you're like, oh, it's going to repeat. I'm going to trip Ned, and I'm going to, get frisky with the chick.
Right. The results are the same.
But it's going to start the same because I'm going to get up in the morning and gas prices are high. Food is really expensive. I'm supposed to blow all this money for Christmas gifts. I mean, hopefully people can push some of that down and get some control, because our government doesn't have any control. So it's going to be personal responsibility. We're going to have to deny ourselves
Yeah.
some stuff just to get through this dip in the road, because there will be brighter days. It's America. Um, and in the end, good does win here. It's
Yeah.
painful when you're in it. It's easier to read it historically.
I do the shopping for my family. I'm just astonished by how much food prices have gone up. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
My favorite Italian frozen pizza was $6 basically for like 10 years. All of a sudden in 1 month it's $9,
right.
you know?
Right. And you can't argue with the manufacturer. They either charge
No,
you $9 or they're not going to have them.
that's right. Or that they're not gonna make pizza. Right. I know. No, you can't blame them. No,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
And just this cost, that just, that pressure, that creep, I think is what's, and again, everyone's guessing it'll be Trump. Who knows? Again, Nikki Haley was going to be another John McCain, Mitt Romney, Bob Dole candidate for the Republican Party. Republicans won't vote. I wouldn't vote for. I mean,
Well,
and I'm not going to vote for Biden, but I would
right.
vote a third party candidate.
Yeah. Well, right now, Kennedy has 22%. He's polling at 22%, which for a third party candidate is huge. I mean,
Right.
even
And to me, he's a legitimate. I'd give him the keys to the
oh,
White House.
I would too.
Let him go in there and work his magic, because he's pissed off and he wants some answers.
I want to know if you agree with me on this. I don't necessarily, on a lot of policy positions, I disagree with him, but I trust his judgment. It's the same way I feel about Tulsi Gabbard. I don't necessarily agree with her politically on a lot of
Right.
stuff either, but I trust her judgment. If push came to shove, I really do know. I think in my heart she'd do the right thing, and I feel the
Correct.
same way
Yes.
about Kennedy too, where Biden is not doing the right thing at all.
Yeah.
And
I
I don't
mean,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree. I had this conversation with someone last weekend. I was up in northern Wisconsin, and they were just, Trump's such an arrogant bastard and this and that. And I said, well, hold on here. Can you find one picture or video clip of Trump kicked back in a lounge chair talking to this group, bragging about if they don't fire the prosecutor of Ukraine, they're not getting the $1 billion.
No, you
I said,
can't.
you want to talk about arrogance? That's that guy. That's Joe Biden with his mind intact. But
Yeah,
that's Joe Biden. He's a bully.
that's right.
He doesn't give two shits about his kids because they're both messed up. And he hasn't paused to say, I got to put my family back together. I guess I got to put my career on hold or I'm
No.
done.
Well, now look what they've done to him. I mean, for all practical purposes, him running for a reelection is elder abuse. I mean, it is.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
if
And
his wife,
onset dementia doesn't get better
no,
ever.
that's the thing. None of this is going to reverse. None of it.
Right. He's
Everyone knows
not going to
that.
have whatever doctor is giving him his shots to keep him as coherent as he is. At some point, the body just breaks down. But I said, where's Trump? He goes, well, when he was on the bus talking about grabbing a woman's crotch, I said, well, he wasn't lounging back. He was standing up right in your face. He
Yeah.
wasn't some.
It's what Greg Gutfeld calls deeds versus words. I don't care if
Yes.
he wants to talk about grabbing some woman's vagina. I don't.
Right.
He can talk about all he wants. Can he run the government? Yeah. And this is the other thing too, Jeff. Have you thought about this? About the fact that they're already saying, people are saying, "Oh, John, if he runs re-election, I'm moving out of the country, or is he going to destroy democracy and all sort of shit?" He's already done it once.
Right, right.
I don't
This isn't the new guy.
No, that's right. He's already done it once. We were great, actually.
And if these people were thinking, they would have just let him get his second 4 years and he'd be done. He'd
Yeah,
be out. He'd be
that's right.
coming to the end of his second 4 years and he'd be done. But no, they thought, because again, these are highly educated people who don't know shit.
That's right.
They didn't look and go, what are the facts of this? Do
Yeah,
we run him out or do we just let a string run out?
yeah. Everyone knows he talks. I mean, and his most ardent supporters, me included. Yeah, he runs his mouth. I mean, yeah, it's both.
Yeah, I've never watched one of his press conferences because it's like, well, I don't care what he says. I know when it comes down to decision time, he'll make the right decision.
I don't watch the press conferences because I know what he's going to say.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest.
That's
Good.
right.
Then he goes and proves it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're right. He actually did.
He delivers.
Virtually everything he's predicted ended up coming true. I can't think of a single thing that didn't. I mean, it's really amazing.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, the picture of Biden talking to that group bragging about playing with our money. I'm like, you arrogant fucking frat rat. You're a frat rat to the core, Joe.
Yeah. And that's the key there, Jeff, is it's our money. If it was his own money, okay, he's an asshole, but
he
that's
wouldn't
fine.
have. Yeah, he would have.
No, it's actually our money.
Right. He's playing around with our money. It's just really disheartening.
Well, so Jeffrey, do you think he's going to be the Democratic nominee? I mean, it's obvious now in the last couple of weeks the Democratic machine is turning against him.
Yeah. But they've got to be sitting in the back rooms going, he's not listening.
No, he is. Well, he's not listening at all. No.
And think about it. How many old guys, right? And I'm talking old men when they're old and curmudgeoned, you ain't moving them off of shit.
No, I know that. That's exactly what I think too. Yeah.
Go to a nursing home where there's a white guy and there's a African-American gal as a nurse's aide or whatever. And they use the foulest language to them. And the women there understand it's just a stupid old white guy.
Yeah.
They're not offended by it. It's like, hey, you're paying my way. It's just a few words. But that's where Joe Biden is. He is not going to give this up.
No, he isn't. I agree with you totally.
Because in his mind, he's fine. Look at us. Right.
Well, that's the thing. I was even saying this.
We're 10 years apart in age, and our eyes lie to us every day.
He's delusional. He's totally fucking delusional. Yeah, his mind, nothing.
Which happens with age. It just happens. I look at a project and I go, I should be able to get that done this afternoon. And 3 days later, I'm like, shit, I'm halfway through it and I'm out of energy.
Yeah.
My eyes said I can, because in my brain, I've done it 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's right. I totally relate.
He's 80, 87?
He's 80.
80. And again, this dementia, everyone I know that has a parent that's gone through dementia is like, that's the stage. My dad went through that stage, or my mom went through that stage.
Yeah.
Not sure where to go, shuffling their feet because they're unsure. And it's elder abuse.
I mean, if you've seen it, and I've seen it too, it's very sad. But
yeah, I mean, we're all headed that way to some degree.
Yeah, but we're not president.
And that's the thing, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. They're giving a little hints. Then now they're going to try pushing them a little bit. At some point, I just wonder if they will literally just push them off the stage. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean,
yeah, I mean, for the Democratic Party to survive, that's kind of the only card they have.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's something you said that made me think of something, and of course now I can't remember what it is because I'm dementia too. So,
just a lot in the file cabinet.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of Post-it notes, little drawings.
That's right. With no lines connecting them.
Hey, there was some sermon you were talking about before we went on
Yeah.
the air. What's that?
So I've been, this Hamas Israel thing, Palestinian thing. I've found this pastor he's at Cornerstone Chapel. He must be down North Carolina or something. Anyway, his name is Gary Hamrick. Hemrick, Hemrick. He had a sermon about a month ago, just explaining, this is the Bible's perspective of the difference between Jews and Arabs, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, this isn't like, again, we're 247 years old. The Bible's thousands of years old, and Hamas has only been around since 1987.
Right, that's right.
They're teenagers,
Right.
right? And so I'm not going to do justice to recall this whole sermon that Gary gave, but if you go to YouTube, you can find them. And the title of it is Israel and Hamas and End Times, Ezekiel 38.
And what's his name?
Gary Hemrick, Hemrick.
Okay.
And I found him. I've been reading through the Bible, and when stuff confuses me, that's what I love about YouTube. You can just pound that chapter and verse in, and there's 50 people.
We'll post this on our blog.
Yeah, it's a well done explanation of history, which we don't have. But he says this is his take from a biblical standpoint. Abraham had his son Isaac, who was a covenant son. He was going to take over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham also had a child out of wedlock with an Egyptian slave woman named Hagar. That son was named Ishmael. So Isaac started the Jewish line of people. Ishmael started the Arab people. And so they've had this biblical jealousy. They were brothers. One got the pot of gold, one got to work in the fields. And that Gary's explanation is that's where, so this isn't put two people in the room. This is thousands of years of angst between two races of people.
Yeah.
And so he just goes through the timeline of stuff, and he goes, if you don't believe that this territory and land was the Jewish land, there's something called an Egyptian stele. So these are stone tablets where it's inscribed in there that in the 13th century BC, Israel was named as a landholder of the area that they had, and he gives a map of what started out as the Jewish land, how it shrunk, and then how it shrunk again. Just some interesting history. So there's an Egyptian stele and a Canaanite stele from the 9th century BC that refers to King David and their territory. This is all stuff that, and again, yeah, we've been friends for 200 years. Just because I say it, go look it up. Challenge yourself to try to figure out why this hatred just cannot. We've tried for years. Bill Clinton said it best. We gave him everything.
Yeah.
He went back and said, I don't want any of it.
I'm gonna paraphrase what you're saying, because I heard somebody say this recently, and I thought this was brilliant in its simplicity, master the obvious stuff. And I heard somebody say there's one of two things going on here. Either the Arabs think the Jewish people are the chosen people, or they really are the chosen people. But it doesn't matter which one it is, the results are the same. And I thought that's really interesting, you
Yes.
know?
Yep.
Because yeah, so okay, maybe you don't believe the Jews are the chosen people, but then the Arab community does, so that's all that
And
matters.
right, it goes back to Isaac and Ishmael.
Yeah,
That's
right.
been, and again, we as Americans, we can't get our arms around that because we're too young.
That's right.
We're a drop of salt in a big salt
Oh shit,
container
Jeffrey,
compared to anything.
I watch International House Hunters, and some guy's gonna buy an 800-year-old apartment in Italy.
Yeah,
Really?
right.
800
Yeah.
you
It's 4
you're living
times older than our country.
that's right, you're living in a building that's 800 years old? It's like,
Right.
God almighty. Like,
Yeah.
holy shit.
And so he goes through the history in 586 BC. The Babylonians besieged Israel until 1948. Basically, Israelis, Jews were scattered across the world. You can't
Yeah,
live in one place, right?
right.
So he goes through the list of people for 2,500 years that the Jews have had to live somewhere else until 1948. Now, I wasn't born in 48, but my mom was alive. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not that long ago.
No, not at all.
So it went from the Babylonians to the Persians to the Greeks to the Romans to the Byzantines to the Arab, Islamic, the Catholic Crusaders, uh, the Mamelukes, the Ottomans, and the British Empire. The word Palestine, do you know where that came from?
No, I don't.
So in AD 135, the Roman Emperor Hadrian wanted to quash this Jewish revolt. So he dispersed them out of Jerusalem and renamed that entire area Palestina. People say Palestina. That's the Latin term for Philistines. So the Philistines, that was like a blood in a crypt,
Yeah.
right? The Philistines and the Jews hated each other forever. So you
That
have a Roman emperor that says, I'm going to get these Jews. I'm just going to rename everyone. You're going to be Palestinians. So forever, if you were a Jew born in that area, on your birth certificate, it said you were um, Arabian or Arab. Okay.
yeah.
And so he did it to dishonor the Jews. One interesting thing Gary covers is in 1922, Winston Churchill was the Secretary of State over the colonies of Great Britain. And I never knew that.
I didn't either.
And so the Hussein family, who basically owns all that land, where Jordan is and where this chunk of land is. And he shows a map of where this is. The Hussein family was after the British government, like, hey, you gave the Jews too much land of ours. We want some back. Basically, Winston Churchill took a pencil and took what would be from the Jordan River down and said, what is now, Israel. That's their land. It was called the Balfour Declaration. And in 1946, they called the area that they took back Jordan. And so, again, I'm just challenging people. The media isn't going to give you the story. If you think this thing's going to be settled, you got to unwind 2,000 plus years of
Yeah,
hatred.
that's right.
It's not going to be an easy fix. One's going to have to wipe out the other. And that is never a good, if you want only Walmart around and everyone else to go down, that's just not a good business proposition. And this is not a good proposition for the human race that someone has to go.
No, and you're absolutely
Chosen
right.
or unchosen.
Yeah. I mean, 25 years ago, I was a good liberal boy, and I thought, well, we got to have that two-state solution, you know? And then, like you said, Clinton gets those people at the White House, and Yasser Arafat says, no, we don't, they turn down everything. And I'm thinking, well, that's really stupid. but it's not stupid if you look at it from their point of view. That it's just hatred. They hate them.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
right. If you look
The
at it that way,
19 when Hamas wrote their charter, one of the things was eliminate all Jews.
yeah, yeah, like all of them, all of yeah,
Right.
right,
Right.
yeah. We're gonna kill all of them, right? So how do there's no way to battle that except kill people back. That's the only thing you can do.
And that's what we're seeing. This is a religious war.
Yeah.
Our media doesn't want to call it that because they don't want to talk about religion, but there's deeper things going on around us that we need to pay attention to and understand and have a grasp of, because it can come here. And now you got to make a decision.
I'm going to take this full circle here. This gets back to what you were talking about at the very beginning about the fact that there's a lot of affluent people in America, and America is a very affluent place who basically aren't paying attention to anything. And I got to admit, some of them are my friends. I know some of my friends; they're not really, I
No,
mean, someone walks
things
by.
are okay. Yeah, I don't like the extra money I'm spending on gas, but
Yeah,
I don't.
right. But they
I'm
don't really
not
know why. They
right.
don't know. It's like, and unfortunately, does take a lot of time to integrate this stuff into your life. That's part of the problem. But I'd like to think that's one of the reasons
Yeah,
we do
it's
this
a
sort of thing.
46-minute message, and take it for what it's worth. Find something that counters that. That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, well, you won't, will you? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like you said, this is pretty much history, and I don't think there's anything you can do to counter it per se. Is there?
Right. I mean, exactly. I mean, for me, I've got a better understanding that the claptrap about we're going to put these people in a room and settle this thing. I mean, the
Yeah.
Jews have said October 7th was their 9/11. There's 7.1 million Jews there.
Right.
That's 30 times in population size. We have about 330 million, 7 to 330. It's like 30 times the amount of people were killed
Yeah.
on October 7th.
I think it
That
comes out
is
to about 38,
unbelievable.
right, or 38,000 people, right? If you're gonna look at it per capita like that, yeah. It is
Yeah,
unbelievable. Not to mention the fact of how they were killed.
in a
There's that
day.
too. Yeah, right. I mean,
And
they
these
were
people
literally
get
putting
through this,
babies in ovens to die,
and they recorded it.
Yes,
They
that's
wanted
unbelievable.
people to see this.
Well, I mean, they are really good at manipulating the media because unfortunately, half of the media on the planet, if not three-quarters, they're just left-leaning. I was going to use the pussy word, but I suppose I
Right,
shouldn't. But so they buy into this like hook, line, and sinker, and so like they put hospitals over their command centers, and then they think, well, you can't bomb that, and
right,
and for England or for Israel, it becomes a lose-lose. They either drop a bomb on the hospital, they kill a bunch of innocent people, or they don't, and then they get killed back. I mean, what the
right.
fuck?
Yeah,
What
they
do you
had to
do?
make a tough decision. They
Yeah,
sent people in there today,
yeah,
right? They sent and again, they only got 7 million.
yeah. And
So
you're
every
right. This is
soldier lost is a huge loss to their whole defense.
right, right. But you're correct. This is going to go on a long, long time.
Yeah,
Even
this
this,
one is not going to unwind quickly.
no, no. But can I take some solace in the fact that there are people now who understand what you're talking about? I mean, I don't think 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I don't think anybody had a clue,
No,
you know?
right.
I think, I mean, I
Because
find that encouraging anyway.
yeah, because this hate was mitigated, right? It was more an undertow. This now
Yeah,
is in our face. This is this naked woman in the back of a pickup truck who's obviously been her body's been broken up, and they were proud that they had recorded raping her, which to me is, I mean, that kind of stuff is just awful. We know that the Germans that were gassing the Jews, they had to drink and take drugs. They could not mentally handle
yeah, that's right.
what they were doing. They
What they were
knew it was
doing.
wrong,
That's
but
right.
either I do it or I'm dead.
That's right.
So get me high, get me drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's um
We have to look at it as life is precious. And as citizens, we have to be the ones that make that change. Our governments won't because they aren't affected by it.
no, they aren't. They aren't. Well, now I'm sad.
Yeah, it is. It's one of these things that it's like, okay, uh, maybe pray a little bit, talk to your higher power, whatever it is, whoever it is. But some kind of higher power interaction is going to have to help resolve this because us humans really aren't capable of there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. That's just how we are. It's that's how we're programmed. It's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah.
um
There's another thing going on here too, and this is a part where someone would probably call me a colonizer, but it's also between civilization and barbarism, you know?
Correct, yes.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, when the Roman Empire, when you don't go from chaos to organization, you go from organization to chaos.
mhm,
And that's been proven over history. And the most recent one was the fall of the Roman Empire and the Dark Ages. That
yeah.
400 years, that beginning after the civilization broke down, took 400 years for people to get their shit together.
Yeah, and you're right, it's easy for us to talk about, but no, it was 400 years. It's
Yeah, yes,
way over the even the length of our country, way over,
yes,
you
yeah,
know? And you
right.
and I talked about this before, there's also the opposite. The Roman Empire existed for 2,000 years, so at the end, your people are thinking, "Well, geez, maybe everything's falling apart." "Oh, shit, no, this is gonna go on
Right,
forever." It's
right,
already gone on forever,
right.
you know?
That's those two idiots talking. They think things are falling apart. It's fine. Then you know what? They went back to try to find the two idiots. 400 years.
Yeah, yeah.
400 years. And in that period, a lot of stuff was destroyed by the people that were in charge because they thought they would have more control if they destroyed the history
Well, I don't know
books.
if you've ever heard this, Jeffrey, but you know, when the library at Alexandria burned down, supposedly the Romans were about 20 years away from discovering electricity. That's what they figured.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what
so
did it take
right. They burned
to
down a library, they burned down all the books, and it took another 2,000 years, you
you,
know?
you got it.
Shit,
You
it's
got it.
crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, should we just leave it at this? Is there anything else you want?
Unfortunately, everyone says I come on here and I'm a Debbie Downer. I'm a Debbie Downer, but I want people to go out and educate themselves. Don't turn off the boob tube, find Gary's sermon, listen to it, and then challenge it and challenge yourself to, if this is presented to me, what am I going to do? Am I prepared?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll post this, on our blog under your name, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, so, and I don't think you're a Debbie Downer, although I think what you're talking about is really important, so, I
Yeah,
mean
I thought it was tonight. I listened to this a couple weeks ago, and I thought I'm going to bring it up if we can get it on the show. I just think um, it has 3.5 million views.
yeah, so people have seen it, right,
People are seeing it
right, right, so
again.
your next, appearance that we haven't talked about this, I haven't talked about this on the air, about the fact on Wednesday, December 8th is yet another Republican debate. So you're gonna be on the panel, and I think there's only gonna be, like, 3 people in that debate. Am I right about that?
Yeah,
Yeah. What
the
is it go
Rosh, Haley, DeSantis, and the Weeble, Chris Christie,
Yeah.
and maybe Nikki Haley will be done by then. Wouldn't that be a shocker?
Yeah, yeah,
I put
yeah.
the odds at 50-50. I
Do you
think
thi
it's a coin flip
but here's the
that she
deal with that,
survives this.
The interesting thing, I think one of the things that plays into what she's, her is that she's a woman. And also, like you said, she's a woman hawk. You don't see many of those, you know?
Yeah, but now she comes across as mom. Who are you talking to?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it,
Somebody
it's
who wants to talk to the manager.
yes, yes, yes. I don't think it's worth that much, but I need
No,
it
I don't
done.
either, but
I
it's
mean, I mean
fascinating.
that was this old gal. I don't think it's worth that much. Well, there's no one else to do it,
Yeah, yeah.
so you're gonna have to pick $75 or get the hell out.
Yeah, yeah,
You
right.
know, I mean, and that's what they're not used to.
Yeah.
People are not used to that have money.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. We brought this all full circle. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So
You're
yeah,
pretty good.
will Nikki Haley be? Will I be talking about her that she participated in the
Well,
debate?
all
I
right.
give her
So we
50-50
got you on
chance.
tape here. 50-50, you
You
said. So
got it.
okay.
You
So
got
right.
it.
So yeah. So that'll be
I'll
this
send you a
Wednesday
gift
night.
certificate to Murray's if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's Wednesday night, December 8th. So
Yeah.
I don't
Can't
know why
wait.
they have to keep doing this. It's like, just I might shit or get off the pot, I
Just the
think.
money. I mean, it's a piss away of money. She could be a Jeb Bush. She's got a lot of money. Jeb
Yeah,
didn't last long.
that's true. That's true. I know. Well, the thing is, every study ever done seems to indicate that money has no correlation with who wins a contest. So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it really
It's who
doesn't matter.
people buy from people.
Yeah,
And if they
yeah,
don't like you, they might send you $25, but they ain't gonna vote for you.
yeah. Thanks, Jeff. I really
Good to
appreciate it.
see you, my friend.
Yeah, you take care. We'll talk to
All
you
right.
soon.
Talk soon. Thanks, everyone. Conk.
Okay, I just want to just put a plug in there. I cut Jeff off. Sorry about that. For conk.com, conk.com. He's right. It's the best single conservative news aggregator on the internet. No, there's no doubt about it. They have about 75 news sources there. The whole thing runs off an algorithm. They recompile the news every 3 hours. It's fantastic. If you want a good overview of the news, you can't get a better place. Seriously. So sorry about that, Jeff. I cut you off. I didn't mean to do that. So I got here to end the show tonight. I have one thing which I want to bring up. I like to do the science or the paranormal news at the end here. Um, there's the kill switch thing. Oh, this is kind of fascinating. So there's a company called is it IVO that's launched into space on a SpaceX rocket. They've launched an experiment to it's what's called quantitative um it's a quantum drive. So the way this works is that it uses electricity. This would be to power spacecraft through space. It uses electricity, but there's no it basically violates what the cause and effect, the inertia principle of Newtonian physics. So it's not supposed to work, but every test I've done on the ground, it has worked so far. Now, I got to give the guy credit who runs this company, and let me see if I can pull his name up. Um, but it runs off quantized inertia theory, and he says he's not kind of downplaying this because he said, well, the thing is, even if this doesn't end up working, even if it's like if the test fails, he said we got this test off in record time, and our company, and he's shilling for his company. Excuse me. And he says, we're really good at this stuff. So, and that's a good way to put it because there's another person a couple of years ago, they launched another one of these experiments into space and it failed. So, but every test they've done on this on the ground, it's worked. And it's not, here's the deal, it's not supposed to work. That's the thing. It violates some basic laws of physics. But if you know anything about quantum physics, well, the entirety of quantum physics kind of violates the laws of physics. So, anyway, that should be interesting. and that's what. Then I got that, and then the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to play Michael Harrison's music video from Gun Hill Road called "Idiots." So this I'm going to say goodnight here. Good night to Esperanza. Good night to Uncle Donnie, and good night to you wherever you are. Here's Michael Harrison's video from Gun Hill Road called "Idiots," and I will see you tomorrow night. Okay, you take care. All right.
Thinking's on a holiday for many folks every day. Spewing words of fear and hate makes our culture second rate. Let's start out with easy stuff, then the stuff that's far more tough. Here at home and overseas, ignorance is the real disease.
Idiots walk among us.
They're lazy, lazy, lazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Their speech is often hazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Never ceases to amaze me.
Idiots talk among us.
Drives me crazy, crazy, crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
They cherry pick and reaffirm half-baked dumb ideas. Agree with almost anything that feeds their hate and fears. Always blaming others for their own damn lack of vision. They buy the crap that sold them from the merchants of division.
Idiots walk among us.
They're lazy, lazy, lazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Their speech is often hazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Never ceases to amaze me.
Idiots talk among us.
Drives me crazy, crazy, crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
A fool will always be a fool, left, right, blue, or red. It pays to have an open mind, but not an empty head. Life is full of mysteries, don't mean to sound aloof. But knuckleheads seek victory at the expense of truth.
Idiots walk among us.
They're lazy, lazy, lazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Their speech is often hazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Never ceases to amaze me.
Idiots talk among us.
Drives me crazy, crazy, crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy. Idiots walk among us.
They're lazy, lazy, lazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Their speech is often hazy.
Idiots talk among us.
Never ceases to amaze me.
Idiots talk among us.
Drives me crazy, crazy, crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy. Idiots. Idiots.
The truth is not a mystery if only you know history.